Welcome to the Past in Pictures channel. Be sure to subscribe and like so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. A Chernobyl liquidator finds a baby alone while measuring environmental levels in 1986, after the nuclear accident released large amounts of radioactive material, causing mass evacuation and serious environmental and health consequences for the region and the world. Containment actions were crucial. The German leader appears among the crowd gathered at Odeonsplatz, celebrating the beginning of World War I on August 2, 1914 in Munich. This event marked the advance of conflicts that would deeply change Europe and influence the course of world history in the following decades. The photograph captures a woman in the 1930s holding a sign that says, "Please do not kiss me," reflecting social caution after the effects left by the Spanish flu. The 1918 outbreak shaped the relationship between social behavior and precautionary measures in Europe and North America. The German leader served in the army during World War I, the conflict from 1914 to 1918 that reshaped Europe after the fall of the Central Powers. His frontline experience influenced his political views and the growth of nationalism that would lead to the rise of the German government and World War II. Fuchsel was his pet dog. Alan Shepard became the first American to travel into space on May 5, 1961, marking a crucial milestone in the space race during the Cold War. His mission highlighted United States technological progress against the Soviet Union and strengthened America's commitment to space exploration, opening the way for future crewed flights. The Vietnam conflict reached a critical point in 1967, with military personnel using M60 equipment in intense operations. The presence of a burning hut shows the seriousness of the actions in that setting, which had global impact and sparked debates about foreign intervention, changing United States policy after the war. The conflict in Biafra, Nigeria, in 1967 marked the beginning of an internal dispute that lasted until 1970, driven by the region's attempt to secede. This episode caused a severe humanitarian crisis, intensifying debates about international intervention and human rights in national crises. Linda Carter became a pop culture icon by playing Wonder Woman in the 1970s, a milestone for female representation on American television. Her performance stood out during a period of social change that expanded the visibility of women in strong and leadership roles in media. The veterans in this photograph are the last survivors of the French siege of Tarragona in 1809, an important confrontation in the Peninsular War against Napoleonic troops. The image taken in 1869 shows the lasting impact of the conflict, which influenced Spanish resistance in European politics of the time. Visitors at the top of the South Tower of the World Trade Center look out over Midtown Manhattan on June 21, 1984, a period marked by United States economic recovery after the recession at the beginning of the decade. This landmark symbolizes New York's financial and urban rise in the 1980s, strengthening its global importance. Workers leave a shipyard in Glasgow for lunch break, while the ship under construction in the background represents Britain's industrial effort during World War II. This naval production was crucial for keeping supply routes open and strengthening the Navy against Axis threats in that global conflict. To protect strategic Boeing factories in King County, Washington in 1944, fake neighborhoods were built on the roof, a milestone in American civil defense during World War II. This strategy aimed to confuse enemy air attacks and ensure the production essential to Allied victory. An American service member is warmly welcomed by a French woman in Strasbourg, 2 days after the city's liberation on November 22, 1944. This liberation marked a crucial Allied advance in World War II, securing control over Alsace and symbolizing hope and resistance against German occupation. Norman Parkinson photographed Jerry Hall in 1975 for British Vogue, in a work that marked analog fashion photography of the 1970s. The shoot captured the style of the era, influencing visual trends and strengthening the magazine's image as a global reference in fashion. The heavy snowstorm that struck New York in 1888, known as the Great Blizzard, paralyzed the city for days and left many victims. This historic event marked a crucial point in the development of emergency systems and urban management in the American metropolis. The Imperial Camel Corps was formed in 1916 for desert combat during World War I, using camels because they were better suited than horses for dry terrain. This strategy supported military operations in the Middle East, influencing Allied control of desert regions. Specialized training on December 28, 1943, focused on the ability of military personnel to neutralize mines and traps without direct sight, using a special screen at the 10th Corps Mine School. This preparation was crucial for Allied operations in World War II, reducing losses and increasing effectiveness in the field. The 1874 expedition, led by Custer, explored the Dakota Territory, opening the way for American expansion in the West. This campaign discovered large gold deposits in the Black Hills, encouraging migration and worsening conflicts with indigenous peoples. It was a milestone in the history of North American settlement. Chinese immigrants in Oregon faced the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882, which severely limited the entry and rights of this community. This legislation shaped the Chinese experience in the United States, highlighting social tensions and the impact of institutional restrictions during the 19th century. The Louvre Museum was left abandoned during the German occupation of France between 1940 and 1944. This period marked the loss of countless works of art and intensified the removal of cultural goods carried out by the German government. Protecting the collections was essential to preserving part of the heritage. Actress Kim Novak was one of Hollywood's major stars in the 1960s, recognized for her role in iconic films such as Vertigo from 1958, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. Her image symbolizes the glamour of the golden age of American cinema, marked by memorable careers and by pushing film toward global cultural status. The British airship R-33 prepares for its inaugural flight at Barlow Airfield in Yorkshire in 1919, marking an advance in post-World War I aviation. This innovation enabled improvements in air transport and surveillance, influencing the development of rigid airships in the 20th century. King George V took part in a famous hunt in the Terai region of Nepal in 1911, an event that symbolized British influence in colonial Asia. This expedition highlighted the imperial power of the United Kingdom and its strategic presence in South Asia, strengthening political and military ties in a colonial context. Actress Anita Ekberg faced intense pressure from paparazzi in 1960, using a bow and arrow to keep them away in front of her home. This scene illustrates the growing impact of sensationalist media on celebrities, which influence the relationship between fame and privacy in popular culture. The worker in New York prepared ferrets for rat control, a common practice in 1910 because urban infestations threatened hygiene and public health. This efficient method helped improve sanitary conditions in rapidly growing cities. In the 1920s, dental procedures were performed with basic and often uncomfortable methods, such as manual tooth removal. The introduction of the gramophone to distract patients during treatment, as in 1922, showed a growing concern with bringing more comfort and anticipated advances in clinical care. The brothers Alphonse and Charles Bugler faced a notable challenge in 1954 when they pushed their stuck motorcycle through the River Thames before successfully performing their tightrope act. This feat highlighted the era of daring acts in urban spaces, drawing attention to creativity in post-war entertainment. The arrangement of 21,000 American soldiers forming the image of President Woodrow Wilson in September 1918 symbolizes the United States' effort in World War I. Wilson led the country into decisive intervention, influencing the outcome of the conflict and proposing the principles for the League of Nations. Flying Officer Christopher F. C. Lee photographed in 1944 at the Vatican shortly after the liberation of Rome, witnessed a milestone in the end of German occupation in Europe. This event helped drive cultural and artistic movements that Lee would later join, beginning his acting career 3 years later. This transition marked Europe's rebirth. The transport of the Giuni Ludovici Roundhouse along the Thames in London in 1917 occurred during World War I, a period that required intense logistical mobilization. This structure, typical of the ceramics industry, reflects the importance of production for military efforts and reconstruction. The 1936 photograph reveals a cemetery in Pennsylvania near the massive Bethlehem steel plant, a symbol of American industrial strength that powered the economy during the 20th century. This plant was crucial to the World War II effort, showing the importance of heavy industry to national and military development. The founding of Google in 1998 marked the beginning of a digital revolution by transforming access to information with its efficient search engine. This innovation caused deep changes in how people search for and interpret data, driving the Internet era as the main globally recognized source of knowledge. The R-34 airship landed in Mineola, Long Island in 1919 after the first aerial crossing of the Atlantic by a heavier-than-air aircraft. This feat marked a crucial advance in aviation, making the development of intercontinental air travel possible and demonstrating the viability of long-distance airship journeys. The USS Los Angeles, an innovative United States Navy airship, landed on the aircraft carrier USS Saratoga in January 1928, marking a technological advance in naval aviation. This feat expanded naval reach and reconnaissance capability, influencing future military strategies in the interwar period. Residents of Bourne wait for the appearance of the Virgin Mary at the viaduct near the Christian school, where children said they had seen the figure the day before. In 1933, this event attracted religious and social attention, highlighting deep popular faith in Belgium at the time and its impact on the local community. Vertipack railroad cars transport Chevy Vegas in Ohio, showing the expansion of the automobile industry in the United States in the 1970s. This growth boosted the regional economy, strengthened rail transport for distribution, and turned Ohio into an industrial hub crucial to the national and international auto market. Passengers enjoy lunch in the dining car of the North Coast Limited in 1934, when railroads were vital for transportation in the United States. This train symbolized progress in mobility and travel comfort, boosting economic development and regional integration by connecting important cities across the country. The Brooklyn Bridge, opened in 1883, symbolizes innovative 19th-century engineering, linking Manhattan and Brooklyn. In 1948, it was essential to New York's urban and economic growth, easing traffic and driving the city's expansion after World War II. This landmark remains vital in history. Walter Botts appears connected to the famous United States Army recruitment poster, with Uncle Sam pointing and saying, "I want you." This poster, created in 1917 during World War I, was a milestone in patriotic mobilization and influenced later national campaigns, becoming a lasting symbol of that period. Milunka Savic, known for presenting herself as a man to join the Serbian army during the Balkan Wars and World War I, became the most decorated woman in history, receiving medals from Serbia, France, Russia, and Great Britain. Her path challenged gender norms and contributed to Allied recognition. The leadership of figures in the Arab Revolt, such as Thomas Edward Lawrence, was decisive in weakening Ottoman rule during World War I. The campaign from 1916 to 1918 promoted Arab nationalist awakening and influenced the political reshaping of the Middle East after the global conflict. Mahatma Gandhi took part in the Second Round Table Conference in London in 1931, seeking to negotiate India's independence with the British government. This event marked a crucial advance in political negotiations, strengthening the nationalist movement and moving closer to an agreement that would lead to Indian autonomy years later. Louis Victor Baillot, considered the last living veteran of the Battle of Waterloo, is a living witness to the decisive conflict of June 18, 1815, that ended the Napoleonic Wars. His long life and photograph at 103 years old offer a rare personal link to a historic milestone that reshaped Europe and defined the 19th century. Yakov Djugashvili, Stalin's son, was captured by the Germans in 1941 during World War II, an episode that exposed personal and political tensions in the conflict. His capture had symbolic impact on Soviet morale and on relations among the leaders involved in the global conflict. The invention of the kinetograph, a pioneering camera from 1912, represents a crucial milestone in the development of cinema, allowing moving images to be captured with unprecedented precision. This technological advance was essential in transforming entertainment and visual communication, paving the way for the modern film industry. David Egby worked as the cinematographer on the film Mad Max, released in 1979, which marked the rise of Australian post-apocalyptic cinema. The film changed the industry with chase scenes and innovative visual storytelling, influencing global film production in the following decades. Madeline Kahn, Mel Brooks, and Terry Garr, iconic figures of comic film and theater, gathered in New York in 1974, an important year for the growth of comedy in American cinema. This period marked the rise of writers and actors who refreshed humor and influenced future generations. Two young Armenian women survived the tragic events that occurred under the Ottoman Empire in 1915. When about 1.5 million Armenians lost their lives. This event marked one of the most devastating episodes of the modern era, revealing the persecution suffered by this people and deeply affecting Middle Eastern history and Armenian identity. Jane Mansfield, a film icon and major figure of the 1960s, shown at her home in Los Angeles, highlights the era of post-World War II Hollywood glamour. Her success reflected the growing influence of the film industry on American popular culture during that decade. Salvador Dali, the well-known surrealist artist, appears with his Anteater in 1969, a period when his influence expanded surrealism beyond painting and into pop culture. This image symbolizes the mix of art and eccentricity that marked his career. Dali innovated modern art. Joseph Ratzinger, the future Pope Benedict XVI, appears in a 1965 portrait during the time he took part in the Second Vatican Council, a milestone in Catholic Church renewal. This event reshaped doctrines and practices, deeply influencing global Catholicism to this day and highlighting his role in modern Catholicism. John F. Kennedy and Jacqueline Bouvier celebrated their wedding in 1953, a union that marked the beginning of an influential political and social path in the United States. This marriage came before John F. Kennedy's rise to the presidency in 1961, an event that reshaped American democracy in the Cold War. It was an emblematic moment of hope and change. The arrival of Coca-Cola in France in 1950 marked a significant moment in the global expansion of post-World War II American culture, symbolizing the opening of European markets to international products. This presence influenced consumer habits and modernization in French social settings, reflecting growing economic and cultural integration. Sunset Boulevard in Beverly Hills in 1925 showed a dirt road lined with palm trees, reflecting the beginning of urban development in Southern California. This period marked the automobile expansion that would turn rural areas into modern metropolitan centers, boosting the local economy and culture. Three archers practicing Kyudo in 1890 illustrate the preservation of Japanese martial traditions in the Meiji period, when Japan balanced modernization with respect for ancestral culture. Kyoto reinforces values such as discipline and focus, essential even in times of rapid social and technological change. The group of children on tricycles portrays childhood in Brooklyn during the Great Depression of the 1930s, when the economic crisis hit the United States hard. This period was marked by deep social and economic hardship, but children's games reveal cultural resilience and hope in difficult times. Girls play volleyball on stilts at Venice Beach, Los Angeles in 1934, reflecting the playful culture of the Great Depression. This era, marked by economic hardship, saw the growth of simple recreational activities as a form of social relief and community strength, important for public resilience. The hair straightening process in the 1960s reflected important style changes as women sought smoother and more polished hair, a symbol of modernity and sophistication at the time. This procedure became popular with the rise of heat tools and chemical products. The Singer sewing machine, popularized in the 1920s, revolutionized home clothing production and boosted women's independence by making fashion and craft work more accessible. This advance marked an important step in the industrialization of everyday life and women's empowerment. In Amsterdam, bicycles with wicker child seats appeared in 1925, symbolizing advances in urban safety. This innovation made family transportation easier, reflecting social changes and growing concern for child protection and daily mobility during the early 20th century. Europe led this evolution. Draining Venice's Grand Canal in 1956 allowed accumulated sediment to be removed, something vital for preserving the city's navigability and structural integrity. This operation was crucial for fighting mud-related deterioration, helping maintain Venice as a world cultural and tourist heritage site. This mirror portrait was made 100 years ago in Japan, a time marked by the transition from the Meiji era to the Taisho era, when the country was rapidly modernizing by integrating Western technology while keeping traditions. This moment was crucial for Japan to define its identity and show balance between tradition and modernity. Women from the Windmill Theatre run on Tower Beach in London in 1947, shortly after World War II. The creation of this artificial beach was part of efforts to restore social and cultural life, marking the importance of resilience and leisure in Britain's post-war reconstruction. This encouraged the revival of entertainment. The scene in Oklahoma City, Indian Territory in 1889 shows an ox-drawn wagon in front of Housel's drugstore. That year marked the official founding of Oklahoma as a United States territory, enabling settlement and economic expansion in the region while changing the lives of local native peoples. Two prospectors weigh gold in a cabin near Nome, Alaska, around 1900 at the height of the Klondike Gold Rush, which drew thousands seeking quick wealth. This event boosted the local economy and the settlement of Alaska, although it also caused significant social and environmental impacts. The post office in Findlay, Texas, stands out as a vital link for communication and local trade in the early 20th century. Packages, dried fruit, and services such as battery charging show rural integration with growing urban networks, driven by improvements in communication and infrastructure. J.H. Evans captured in Washington District of Columbia in 1922 a man wearing an overcoat and hat using a coin-operated radio, a pioneering technology that allowed access to programming through payment. This innovation reflected the democratization of audio entertainment in the United States after the expansion of radio networks in the 1920s. Listening to the radio at the beach during the 1940s symbolized the importance of that medium in communication and leisure before television became widely popular. The connection provided by radio encouraged shared culture and information exchange in times shaped by World War II and its social consequences. Formal clothing and the presence of a Victrola, a popular sound device from 1915, show the consolidation of leisure culture and the spread of recorded music in daily life. The Victrola marked the beginning of home music consumption, changing habits and strengthening the recording industry, while reflecting technological progress and social change. The CBS frequency, belonging to one of the main radio networks in the United States, marked the height of the radio era from the 1930s to the 1950s, when programs with live music and entertainment reached millions of listeners. This innovative format strengthened popular culture and shaped the entertainment industry. The city of Boston, represented in a repainting effort in 1976, reflects a moment when urban planning was undergoing important revitalization after decades of industrial growth and decline in some areas. These interventions were crucial for revaluing urban spaces, influencing the city's cultural and economic renewal. A grain thresher powered by 30 horses used in Washington in 1912 illustrates the advance of agricultural mechanization in the early 20th century. This equipment represented a milestone in rural productivity, speeding up harvests and boosting efficiency, which helped modernize farming and increase food production. Loggers pose on the trunk of a felled tree at Badger Camp, Tulare County, California in 1892, a time when forest exploitation advanced, influencing economic expansion and territorial occupation. This activity marked an important phase of industrialization in the United States, driving regional development and urbanization. The ski jump structure in Virginia, Minnesota, dated 1914, shows the growing popularity of the winter sports in the United States in the early 20th century. This landmark reflects the development of recreational infrastructure that boosted sports culture and regional tourism, important to the local economy of the time. A gas station with old pumps and glowing globes on Bent Street in Sydney around 1928 reveals the growth of the automobile industry and the increasing dependence on fossil fuels. This advance promoted urban expansion and transformed transportation, boosting the world economy of the time. Women and men dressed in early 20th century style near a restaurant marked by signs with English words such as lunch and steak reveal urban customs of that time. The portable radio with headphones highlights the popularity of personal devices, marking advances in consumer life and leisure. An Italian family rides a Lambretta through Sicily in 1963, reflecting post-war economic growth in Italy that boosted urban mobility and tourism in the region. This scooter became a symbol of affordable modernity, contributing to the country's cultural and social transformation. A farmer in 1937 innovated by dressing his scarecrow in an unusual way, creating a striking look on the farm. This unique idea happened during the Great Depression, a crisis period that encouraged popular creativity to protect crops and preserve traditions, highlighting the importance of agriculture for rural survival. The Barrel Inn advertisement, offering grape juice for 50 cents and apple cider for 5 cents, reflects a historical moment when non-alcoholic drinks gained market space, possibly during Prohibition in the United States from 1920 to 1933. This period strengthened the trade in alternatives to traditional drinks, affecting social culture. The audition of 152 black cats for the film Tales of Terror in Hollywood in 1961 reflects the peak of American horror cinema in the 1960s. This period was marked by the popularity of productions that reinforced symbols such as the black cat, linked to the supernatural and fear, influencing pop culture and the film genre for years. A man in an old pickup truck symbolizes everyday life in the United States in the 1960s, a time marked by social and cultural transformations. This period is remembered for the counterculture and civil rights movements, which deeply influenced the country's society and politics. The record highlights the irony of the era.